2023 is in the books. Flames are in that mushy middle again. Such as life as a Flames fan. 500 hockey, baby. Let's go.
You're not kidding either, Chris. We're at exactly 500 winning percentage these days, which is, better than most of the season, but still, not good enough to be really anywhere close to a wild card team. I mean,
we're Flames fans, Dylan. Come on, this is our Stanley Cup. 500 is our Stanley Cup. It always has been. I'm just wondering if this parade will be on Stephen Avenue Mall, on 8th Avenue, 9th Avenue, or 17th Avenue on the Red Mile. What do you think?
I was thinking that really bad mall beside State, that one, that should just do a party right there.
Yes.
I can't remember.
That sounds good.
Called.
I mean, there's a flame store. There's a flame store in that mall, so it makes sense.
There is. Yeah. Here we are sitting 16-16-5, which is as average as you can get. 3 points out of a wild card spot with one more game played than the Coyotes, who hold that second wild card spot.
Yep.
And we're just going to continue being super average until we start selling some of these players off. But is what it is, man. You can't rush it. I know that a lot of the people that watch this show, a lot of Flames fans are ready to sell some of the players off and that type of stuff. But there is something to be said for Conroy actually waiting and making sure he gets the right return, right? Like, I think the Zadorov thing was necessary because I think he was causing distractions in the room, and he was, he wanted out, so we let him out. And honestly, the team started playing a lot better for the most part once he left. And I'm not saying that's because he sucked or anything like that. Everybody knows I'm not a huge fan of him, but he wasn't the reason we were losing. But him leaving did, in an unrelated situation, him leaving kind of helped the team pick up their morale, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, if there's something that's plaguing the dressing room, obviously getting rid of that is going to help the team moving forward. Not sure how much of a rift there was between him and the players, but obviously it was reported that it was as such. So it's hard to say, right? Obviously, getting rid of a guy that asked to be traded is the best move for the organization, regardless. Say what we will about what the return was. Obviously it was a bit of a rush situation, and they dealt with it, and everybody has moved on.
And it's one thing if it's a high leverage asset, like no shade thrown at Nikita Zadorov or anything like that, but he's a 5th, 6th defenseman, right? He's not a super high leverage asset that you need to wait on, right? You're not losing out on a first round pick. You might have lost out on a second round pick, but it's not the biggest of deals in my opinion.
No, exactly. I mean, we could have got something better for him, I think, slightly. Like I said, even last night in the live show we had there, my biggest gripe was the return and the amount of years in which we have to wait to get that. You did mention that, potentially that will likely be used in a in addition to bring back bigger pieces, better pieces, that sort of thing, which could very well be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is what it is. It's really no big deal.
Exactly.
No, Flames have been playing well, and by well, I don't mean winning every game. Like, it would be nice to get some more wins, I guess. But the games have been very entertaining lately, and some of the players have really stepped up and started producing, and it's been fun to watch. Like,
Mhm.
even if they're not producing to the extent that we'd like them to, it's still nice to see them, specifically Huberdeau and Mangiapane kind of get off their snide. Mangiapane had a 3-assist game, one against the Flyers, and Huberdeau's got a couple points in his last couple games, and both of those points were really nice plays. So
Yeah.
can't really hate on any of that. Gotta like it.
It's it's good for the future. It's good to build something around for next year after that. More ideally the 2027 season we have a new arena and really looking for ticket sales and stuff like that in the new barn. I think that'll be the key when this team truly comes together, because obviously it's going to be a pretty different looking club between now and then, in my opinion.
Yeah, it should be, and to me the main thing is, even for people like you and I who are looking for a rebuild or a retool or whatever you want to call it, 2-3 years of higher draft picks and maybe not doing the best, it's still important to have an exciting product.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to have an exciting product most likely unless your $10.5 million player is playing exciting hockey.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
This specifically to Huberdeau, obviously, and it's been good. Like, even before those couple games where he got points, he was still slowly getting better, I think, and he's been, nowhere near where he needs to be. Don't get me wrong. Even after these last couple games, nowhere near where he needs to be, but it's still been, better. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people shitting on, media and fans for saying that it's something to build off of, but that's exactly what it is, right? Like, you can say that that's a shitty thing to say, but it's a correct thing to say, in my opinion.
Well, that's just it. I mean, take it or leave it. Huberdeau's going to be with us for a while.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not exactly a tradable contract at this point. It's, damn near buyout proof at this stage.
It's buyout proof for the vast majority of it.
Yeah. So it's just not in the cards. So, you can shit on him all you want, but he's going to be around. So you might as well hope he produces.
Yeah. And he's been, it's been more exciting, and that's all I can really ask for at this point, as a person who wants us to get some higher draft picks and start selling and stuff. It's nice to be able to actually watch and have fun watching while hopefully getting to where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Make it exciting. Obviously, they're playing a different brand of hockey than they did last year under the Sutter system. It goes without saying. Not saying they're not defensively responsible now, but it's not the main focus of the entire game.
Yep.
We're actually able to see some really good offensive talent and some just incredible playmaking from a couple of key players that will be my opinion, moving this bus forward, for a few years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So speaking of the last couple of games there, obviously we did a live last night after the Wild shellacking on a Tuesday night. That was what a rip roaring good time that was. I was trying to figure out which team was actually trying to lose, and then all of a sudden we picked up the pace near the end of the third, thankfully, and pulled out the victory.
And to be fair, I mean, this game isn't fooling anyone. We beat a team who, the final score was 3-1. Blake Coleman iced it with an empty netter, but so really it was a 2-1 game, and we beat a team who was missing Kirill Kaprizov and Jonas Brodin. Kaprizov being their best scorer, Brodin being basically their version of Tanev, and their starting goaltender, right? Like, those are three really important pieces that they're missing right now. And it was their first game without both Gustafsson and Kaprizov. So, it's nothing to celebrate, but it was a fun game to watch, and we got to see. And Marc-Andre Fleury is no slouch, right? He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but long past his prime.
Well, he is, right. He's not the same goalie that he was when he was watching another goalie win cups for Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah,
but you're right. I mean, the Wild had some key players not playing, like Foligno and Kaprizov, as you said.
I guess Foligno too. Yeah.
So I mean, those are some pretty key players to win in games. And I mean, at the end of the day, we literally just leapfrogged another 500 club. So like they're 36 games in and 36 points. So at the end of the day, it was pretty much even competition as far as standing goes, and just progression of both teams.
Yeah.
The Wild haven't looked great, and the Flames have been kind of up and down, a bit of a rocky road for, pretty much the entire season.
Yeah. And last.
Right. And last. Yes. Yeah, it was a tough transition from how good things were 2 seasons ago, right?
Sorry about that.
What you doing?
Just fucking around.
Quit it.
Computer glitched out a little bit there.
Yeah, it does that.
Yeah. Either way, give Andrew Mangiapane some credit. You and I are both not Mangiapane fans, but that tip that he scored, the tip in off the Anderson shot, was quite impressive, to be honest. Because for the last couple years, him standing there right in front of the net hasn't been happening because he's been pushed over too easy and all that type of stuff. So it's been really nice to see him stand his ground a little bit, and that was a nice tip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. I didn't think that he actually got his stick on it at first, but after watching the replay, it was pretty impressive, because I mean it wasn't a low shot. It was in the air, and he had to hit it out of the air.
Yeah,
so
100%. And Fleury was in position for it too, so he actually had to tip it by him. It wasn't like he just tipped a puck that was already on its way through, right? He tipped it and made it go by him.
Yeah.
And then how about that Huberdeau goal? Like, let's just stop and appreciate that for a little bit, because quite honestly, like, we've been searching for a year and a half now to find anybody who can have just a little bit of chemistry with Huberdeau, and that whole play, that the Sharangovich pass over to Lindholm, and that Lindholm pass to Huberdeau, and the Huberdeau little dangle around Fleury, like the whole play as a whole is kind of exactly what we have been searching for.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been flashes of big tape to tape passes, and we'll talk about the tape in a second too, but it's just been really nice to see, because I think they've tried to force Huberdeau and Kadri, they've tried to force Huberdeau and Lindholm, they've tried to force Mangiapane with Huberdeau, like they've tried to force so much, and I think what they needed to do was to get guys going separately and then bring them together. And that's kind of what's happened. And now, that whole line is looking really good. It's looking like a first line.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And I think putting Sharangovich on that line is a pretty key piece component to that line right now. I think him and Huberdeau will be really good together. I really do.
And I hope for years to come, because I don't see any signs of Sharangovich not wanting to be in Calgary. Like, I think he's liked from what I can tell, he's liked his time here. He was kind of not wanted by an organization and brought in by an organization that wanted him, and been given lots of opportunity and been playing high leverage minutes on both sides of special teams and 5-on-5. And he's just, it'd be nice to see him get a relatively lengthy, extension after this season.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, given what appears to be him having a good time, obviously we don't know. He doesn't. He tries his damnedest in interviews, but
it's actually funny, and like it shouldn't be funny, but it is, because sometimes he says things and then he realizes what he said, and then he starts laughing too. But there's been a few times where he's just answers the question completely wrong, and it's actually like everyone laughs. And no,
no, I think he's going to be a good piece moving forward. Personally, I'm hoping that we can give him a 3-year deal maybe, and see what he can truly make with this club. I think given the right pieces, he's going to be a really good, I'm going to say 25, maybe 30 goal scorer for a number of years. I think he has it in him, given somebody that can pass the puck to him, get him into the position to shoot, right?
Yeah. And like, it could happen at some point during his tenure here, but at this point we don't really have any players who are very much more skilled than him that are going to pass him on the depth chart. Like, that's part of why New Jersey passed up on him and decided to send him over for Toffoli, is because he was passed over, and guys like Hughes and Bratt and all those guys started getting more ice time, and Sharangovich got less and lost all of his confidence because of it. And to be fair, those guys are better than him, but he's now in a position where he is, the best option for the first line and for the second penalty kill unit and for the first power play unit. And I'm hoping they throw Huberdeau back up on that unit and capitalize on the chemistry that has been building.
Yeah, I agree. And given, potentially there's a chance that he would gel with Zari as well. Speaking of somebody that has that playmaking ability and, can get pucks to people when you don't think that there's a chance that it's going across and getting there. I think given if we're able to eventually get some true top line wingers to play with and a center obviously to play on that line, then Zari and Sharon Govich might be a good pairing in on the second line. You never know.
Yeah, that would be nice. As much as I've liked Pospisil, I think he's better fitted to a bottom six role just in the grand scheme of things, which is no, there's nothing wrong with that, right? You need those guys and no, he's a 7th round draft pick, I believe 6th maybe that ended up making the NHL several years and several injuries later. So he's beat all the odds and honestly being a third liner, fourth liner for your career from that draft position is pretty impressive. So,
well, it is, and I'm hoping that he can maintain a middle six, but you're probably right. I mean, the way he crashes and bangs, and he can be an energy player on that bottom line as well. So
yeah,
I think the only thing that will limit Pospisil is Pospisil himself. I think he needs to get back into putting points on the board. I mean, he definitely brings the energy, even though he was sat for quite a bit of last night's game, only playing 9 minutes against the Wild. So obviously, Huska saw something he didn't like in his game last night, and such is life.
And to be fair, Zari hasn't popped off the page the last couple games either, but he's still, I believe, been our best forward since the day he got called up on November 1st.
Right. Yeah, he's been good. Yeah. But you're right. The last few games he's been somewhat invisible, which isn't going to help with the fans, stuff like that, because everybody's still, even though we're winning games, but people are still kind of on the edge of their seat waiting for something. Not sure what that something is, though. Do you know what that something is?
Nope.
No, me neither.
No idea.
I've got some ideas, but...
Well, tell us then.
I mean, obviously we need to start making trades, but is now the time? Are there teams that can eat up that salary, or do we have to wait another month and a half for the deadline?
Yeah. Well, personally, I think we're gonna have another. Well, it's like 2 months till the deadline. Still,
is it?
It's March 8th, and we're only on January 3rd right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I was just looking at the schedule ahead, and this is fucked. Have you looked at it at all?
Are you talking about the Tuesday, Thursday?
No, I'm talking about Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday. Oh,
11 a.m. in Philly, and then 1 p.m. in Chicago. Back-to-backs. Fuck.
Yeah, that's pretty. That's pretty bad.
That's absurd to me. 2 afternoon games back to back with travel. That's fun. Anyways,
at least there's an hour difference between Chicago and Philly, I believe. Isn't Philly in the
East, Philly's in the Atlantic, so I'd hope that it's
it's in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
Chicago's in the Central.
Yeah. Oh well. So who had Dennis Gilbert on the bingo card for speaking of Philly, because we were playing against Philly when it happened, but for scoring the goal that busted Huberdeau's point slump?
Other than Dennis Gilbert, probably nobody.
Dennis Gilbert didn't even I don't know if you saw the interview after the game, but he pretty much just sat there and shat on himself for not being a skilled player for 5 minutes, while everyone else was all of the all the media guys were trying to talk him up. He was like, "Oh, that's not my game. I never would have thought I could do something like that. Just stuff like that. It was kind of funny.
But it was a hell of a shot.
It was a snipe show, and it was a hell of a pass. And even the Blake Coleman coming down the wing on the boards, getting wrestled off the puck and hit into the boards pretty hard, and getting the puck to Huberdeau for the nice dish over to Gilbert was just the whole play was really nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was nice to see.
Yeah, it was a beauty goal.
Yeah.
I think that was his first of the year, right?
Gilbert,
sure.
Yeah.
First of the year.
I think he's
got 3 more of those in him for the year.
I'd say 2 more. That would be
more?
my guess.
Holy.
He's going to get more games and more time as guys like whether it's Tanev or Hannafin or both get dealt. You're going to have guys like Gilbert stepping up and just getting more ice time, right? So generally speaking, with more ice time comes a little bit more offensive opportunity, even for guys who aren't offensively gifted.
Yeah,
although
absolutely.
That shot made it look like
yeah, if he does more of that. Yeah, if he does more of that, then he's got my vote. I mean, he's already riding a career high in points at 7. Why put that kind of stress on the man?
Yeah.
And he's tied his career high in goals with 1. Not bad.
Yeah. And then again, Blake Coleman icing the game with a empty net goal, although we were up by 2, and then what's his nuts? John Tortorella pulled the goalie, and then Bobby Brink scored, and then he pulled the goalie again, and then Coleman scored, and then he pulled the goalie again, and then Zamula scored, whoever the fuck that is.
Yeah.
And then the game ended. So there was three goals scored with empty net, and 2 of them were from the other team.
Yeah, and those goals came, early, right? Brink scored at 16:36 of the third. So I mean, there was like 4 minutes left when Tortorella pulled the goalie there. So I mean, he was trying. That's coaching for you.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the blazing speed of Blake Coleman, that plan would have worked out and they would have tied it up.
Did you see the game stats for that game? We had 18 giveaways and they had 5.
Yeah.
I really honestly like obviously there's something to read into those stats, but I find it really hard to actually believe, like, even, you know what I mean? Like, what constitutes as a giveaway? Because I've seen blatant giveaways that they don't count as giveaways, and I've seen, things that aren't even at all a giveaway been count. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. When you look at, even the NHL site there, and they break down the game there, they've got their giveaways, and then right below that they have the takeaways. So what is it? Is it a giveaway? Is it a takeaway? What actually transpired in that play? It's much like most of the rules in the NHL, right? It's left
pretty subjective.
Very subjective, right? It depends on how they feel that day. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, we had 18 giveaways to their 5, but we also had 12 takeaways to their 9, right? Oh. So whatever the hell that all means. Because you know what? Winning the game is more important.
Exactly. And a few days before that, we played Seattle. Chris Dreger comes out of the AHL, playing his first NHL game in 2 years, I believe it was.
Something like that. And so
Yeah,
you know how
almost 2 years. It's like a year and a year and 9 months, something like that. And turned away 37 of 38 flame shots. Seattle beat us 2-1.
Yeah.
No, not much to say on this game, honestly. Dreger did kind of goalie us, I thought, but whatever. I'm not overly crushed over it.
No, I mean it is what it is. I mean we've done fairly well against Seattle so far. It was a tight game. It was a really tight game. I mean, we were kicking some ass in the face off, which is great. We actually got a power play goal, which great trend going on there.
67% in the face-off dot is pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Yamamoto has kind of been like, whether the Oilers or for the Kraken, he's kind of played really fucking good against us, hey? Mm-hmm. For a guy who's usually like a third or fourth line guy.
Yeah, he's always had our number, right? He's always put up points. When he was in Edmonton, he would, he was at the beginning, it was surprising, and then it became not surprising anymore. There's just certain players that like to play certain teams. Yeah, definitely tiring.
Yeah. Also, I remember a few times, twice actually. I'm not going to say a few. I'm going to say twice. He got away with some pretty dirty fucking elbows just because he's small.
Mm-hmm.
But is what it is.
I mean, he totally reminds me of a Paul Byron.
I was gonna say, you know what? We never even talked about that beforehand, and I was gonna say Paul Byron. He really does remind me of Byron.
Yeah, I mean, small but super gritty, not afraid of anything.
Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, and fast, right? Both very fast players. They can create plays, when you're least expecting it, and that was one of those. That was one of those great moves, right? Putting him on waivers.
Paul Byron? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that Feaster? That seems like a Feaster thing.
Sure seems like a Feaster thing. Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah. Asset management.
What? We don't do that here, Dylan.
No.
Don't fucking
Hopefully
do that.
Hopefully Conway puts a stop to that trend.
Yeah. Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. A couple of games coming up in the NHL this week. We got the Calgary Flames versus the Nashville Predators, both coming in at -110. Got the Winnipeg Jets versus Tampa Bay Lightning, both also coming in at -110. Got the Edmonton Oilers versus the Carolina Hurricanes. Hurricanes coming in at -142. Devils versus Detroit Red Wings. Devils coming in at -155. Download the app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the NHL League. Copyright NHL 2023. All rights reserved.
Well, Chris, it's 2024 now. So let's set some goals for the Flames for 2024 because they're definitely listening. Conroy, listen to us.
I mean, it's good. It's good if Conroy listens, but we need to get the big cheese, Mr. Murray Edwards, to start listening.
Yeah, well, we might have to start speaking Swiss. I'd have to learn some of that. Anyways, Chris and I are going to talk about one wish, one goal that we'd like the Flames to, set and achieve over the next calendar year. Pretty broad, anything goes. So I'll let you start.
All right. My hope for the new year is to go on a bit of a skid and get out of this mushy middle. The 500 club is just bullshit and is not going to get this team anywhere. So I think we need to allow teams like Minnesota and Montreal and Buffalo and Columbus to jump over us in the standings and let us finish somewhere in the bottom 5 to give us that chance for a good first round pick for next year.
Yeah.
And with that being said, obviously, I think we're going to need to have a few of our players traded away because I want more than one first round pick next year. I want 3 first round picks next year.
I'm not too fussy, and I agree with you, but I'm not too fussy if it's 3 first round picks this year or if it's 2 this year and 2 next year or whatever. I just want to make sure that we maximize those assets.
Yep.
Specifically Hannafin and Lindholm. And I do believe and I really hope that no matter what else comes in those packages, we get at least 1 first round pick for them. And I feel like there could be another couple seconds or another second and a couple thirds coming from some other trades. But I'm not sure. I've kind of decided I would like to keep Chris Tanev because when it comes to developing players, I feel like young defensemen develop very nicely next to Chris Tanev.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be important. I don't think that young defensemen are going to specifically develop as nicely as they do next to Tanev if they're next to Hannafin. And I don't think that young forwards, as much as I like Lindholm and I think he's a great 2-way player, I don't think that he's a teacher like a Bergeron was.
Right.
I think that he's just really good at doing it himself. And I don't see him being a teacher like Bergeron. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. And given the fact that we only have 2 defensemen under contract for next season, that being Mackenzie Weegar and Rasmus Anderson, I would prefer to get a good return for Chris Tanev and maybe do something like that at the deadline and see if we can't sign him back, in the off season.
Yeah.
I think that would be the route. If we talk to him and say, simply, going to try and give you a chance to win a cup, but we'd like you to entertain the possibility of coming back, because you are, a fan favorite here. You're a part of the team. I'm not sure how receptive you would be to that, but that would be.
I'm not sure. He doesn't seem like the type of guy who would be super pumped on being traded by an organization because they don't want him and then going back to that organization.
Right.
But you never know. Like, I know that he likes it in Calgary, and I think that would be a good way to go. Obviously, and not having Tanev would really help our draft pick situation for this year as far as tanking the season.
Mhm.
It would cause a bunch of losses, and it would probably cause Markstrom to want out. But or it could
E-
anyway. It could
Even
push it.
better.
Yeah. But I still, if it's between that and not like, I'd rather keep him
Mhm.
than lose him and not be able to re-sign him in free agency, because I do think that having a veteran like him is important and also good for culture. I mean, you can already tell he's rubbed off on Gilbert. He doesn't even pair
Mhm.
with Gilbert. Right? Gilbert lays down in front of everything now, as far as shot blocking is concerned. He's gotten way better defensively, and
Yeah.
I'd like to see that from Kuznetsov and Solovyov and Poirier. I think, if you look at what Tanev did for guys like uh, Quinn Hughes and Oliver Shillington,
Mhm.
I think he's probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he's back next year too. But I wouldn't. You know, I think that specifically Tanev with Poirier seems like a good way to get Poirier acclimatized to the NHL and learning how to play defense a little bit better, because that's been his knock, right?
Yeah, for sure. And who are you saying you wouldn't be surprised if he's back next year?
Shillington, as far as signing a contract, if he comes back and starts playing again.
I mean,
I
if I think if Craig signs him to a contract, he'll be freaking strung up and ran out of town.
You think so?
He's missed 2 full seasons.
A
Like
season
what
and a
is
half. I do think he's going to come back and play at some point this year. I don't think. I
I hope
didn't
not.
think that at the beginning of the season, and I haven't thought that since halfway through last season. But I think recently, kind of the buzz around has been that he's been practicing with the team. He's been around the team a lot, and I do think he's going to come back and play a little bit. Um, me, even when Shillington is at his finest, which was 2 years ago or whatever, I'm not his biggest fan, but on the ice. But it would be a cool story to see him come back and play some games this season. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't think it would cause Conroy to be strung up or anything, because I think it would be. I don't think it would be an expensive thing. I think it would be a fucking cheap deal. Because what has he done to earn anything except that? Plus, the organization has given him so much of the benefit of the doubt and all that type of stuff, right? So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of way off topic.
Yeah.
Plus, just as a side note, there, I guess, if we have no defenseman, like you're saying, like we have Anderson and Uyghur signed for next year, right? So there's the chance that they would just re-sign him too, right? But my wish for, or my New Year's hope for the Flames, and I know we've touched on this a bit, but I'm not usually one for individual accolades over team accolades when it comes to hockey, but I think that continued chemistry specifically between Sharangovich and Huberdeau,
Mm-hmm.
because as you said earlier, it's 7.5 more years of Huberdeau. And if it's 7.5 more years of the Huberdeau we've had for the past year and a half, that will be fucking miserable. Every second of it will be miserable to watch.
Yeah.
So even if it's 7.5 years of the last 2 games, that's so much better. And
yeah, the last. I mean, I give it the last 2 weeks really. I even though there wasn't a lot of production when he was playing with Coleman and Backlund, I still appreciated his play, and it looked like him and Coleman were jiving pretty well together. But
I agree. And he learned how to play, defense a little bit better and get a little bit better with the system and all that type of stuff, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
Engaged in more board battles and stuff like that, which I kind of thought he's been doing most of the season. But I think that him being on that line helped cut back his giveaways.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
All that to be said, and all of that is correct, but I think all that to be said, $10.5 million is being paid for the guy to put up points. Huberdeau wasn't paid to become a third line grinder or a third line shutdown player.
Correct.
That's why we extended Michael Backlund.
That's right.
But yeah, that's my hope for the Flames. My first, New Year's wish for the Flames would have been the same as yours, but just in the interest of doing something different, I think Huberdeau specifically, and if it's Sharangovich with him that does it, which it seems like it has been partially, but Huberdeau being a dynamic force, or at least more of a dynamic force than he has been the rest of his tenure in Calgary, would be perfect.
Yeah, no, that's true. So that's your wish, eh? Chemistry. It's not
That's
bad.
my hope. Chemistry, yeah. And everyone listening, watching on YouTube, listening, whatever, put in the comment section down below what your biggest hope or your biggest wish for the Flames for 2024 is, and let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's a good place to end things off with a quick little wish list from the two of us.
Yeah.
I like it.
Remember to follow us on X at ArmChairGM_pod.
Yeah.
Hit us up on Facebook. We have been doing some live streams after games every couple weeks. We've done a couple Nashville ones. We did the Minnesota game the other day. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify. Check out the Hockey Podcast Network. We're on all their feeds as well as they've got shows on pretty much every team in the league, as well as some pretty fun shows about enforcers and fourth line grinders and stuff like that. Actually, there's some pretty interesting shows on there, so check them out. Thanks for listening.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Go Flames, go.